Hey everybody, it's P. Cuspard. I decided for the Neptunia season I do a top 10 Neptunia characters. How am I grading this exactly? How I like them. What, were you expecting anything else?
Now that's edgy as fuck!
One warning. While the villains are good characters too, Rei, Kurome, I love you both, they don't have the gameplay characteristics the heroes have. Maybe I'll make that into its own list. Another warning. I have not played the original versions of the Neptunia games. I've only played the 3 Rebirth games released on PS Vita and V2 in terms of main games. With that said, let the games begin! ROM, based off one of the screens of the Nintendo DS, is one of the twin CPU candidates of Louis. She's first introduced in Rebirth 2 as an antagonist alongside her twin RAM, due to the misunderstanding of Nepgear being a CPU from far away. However, after Nepgear tries to help her find her pen and a little bit of bonding, ROM tends to warm up to Nepgear. She, however, doesn't join until after defeating CFW Trick in Chapter 3. In terms of character, she's the older twin to RAM while seeming like the younger sister, being much more quiet, calm, and even a small bit like a lackey to RAM, only saying one-word responses. However, this quickly changes as Nepgear basically helps ROM grow a backbone. In battle, she's known for her SP and intelligence stats. She has an extremely high SP for Rebirth 2 along with Victory 2 alongside RAM. Thus for most of her attacks she uses a lot of elemental attacks, and for SP attacks she has an ice element with attacks such as Ice Coffin, and is actually a really great supporter, especially in Rebirth 3 where everybody has an SP of only 1000. ROM is best used as a supporter in the Rebirth games and plays best, with glass cannon type characters in my opinion. Cave. Obviously named after her own company, Cave is part of a special task force within Leanbox to help against ASIC. She's able to join Nepgear's party immediately after Chapter 2's over in an event on Leanbox. I enjoy using Cave mainly for her weapons and her EXE drive Black Label, which has so much bullet hell, it puts Undertale to shame. Oh, fuck, they're here! Either way, Cave uses mostly physical attacks, considering her main weapon is a pair of giant scissors. Jesus Christ. I know about how you can poke an eye out, but this is ridiculous. However, the reason she gets on this list is how different she is compared to other females in the list. Cave usually speaks in a monotone form of voice, without a large amount of emotion, completely different to other characters in the series such as Ram, Neptune, and on occasion, Noir. Out of all 4 members of the Gold Third, the representative of Capcom, along with another, are a few of my favorite members of said Gold Third. Bisha, after defeating the CPUs with their Gold Third subordinates, changed the world, replacing the CPUs with themselves. This caused several changes within each nation, with Louis getting a forced job system, with Bisha as a hunter. After meeting Blonde, she urged Blonde, or as she calls her, Blonnie, into becoming a hunter, causing the two to become the golden duo of Louis. However, she's being forced by an enemy in the shadows to assassinate Blonde. She didn't want to do it as she kept coming up with excuses, eventually Blonde finding out that Bisha is the accidental reason for the delusional monsters existing, with the amount of delusion oozing out of her body. No joke, that's actually what's going on. Her attacks are, like Cave, physically based, with her using punches and kicks in her attacks. However, she doesn't exactly have much defense in her battle style. Her with Rom or Blonde is a good matchup as Bisha acts like a glass cannon, dealing good attacks but lackluster defense. Having a good supporter like Rom or a really good tank like Blonde really helps her in this situation. Number 7 is Bisha. Well, that didn't take too long, now did it? The Bandai Namco representative of the Gold Third, along with Bisha, seems like the least antagonistic character of the Gold Third. In Neptune's story in Victory 2, Bisha is introduced as Presto Mask, a reference to Kamen Rider, which Mega Dimension is full of. However, her character doesn't expand until Histoire calls Neptune, Compa, and IF to Haneda City, forcing Bisha to go with them. This is where we learn she has a fear of monsters, with horrible reoccurring nightmares occurring every night for her. Redundant, much redundant? Though she does have a soft spot for children, ironically being incredibly greedy to everyone else. Sounds like Bandai to me. In combat, Bisha is a ranged fighter with her main weapon being a bazooka type weapon. She seems like a more bulk character in the game, with references galore, Kamen Rider, Konami code for some reason, and she has a Gundam robot. This character is definitely one of the most interesting to me. Number 6, Plutia and Peashy. I decided to have the representatives of the Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx-16 share a spot considering they come from the same game. Plutia was originally introduced as a sweet, if a little slow and lazy character in Chapter 1, with Peashy getting introduced as a rough baby in Chapter 4, both sharing a care for the fish out of water in the game, Neptune. However, the two share big character differences, such as Plutia's surprise shifts into Iris Heart during HDD, becoming a dominatrix, and Peashy getting her memory erased and forced to be the antagonist's CPU. As they both only appear in Rebirth 3, Iris Heart is a physical attacker with a lot of intelligence potential. Peashy, on the other hand, is all power, focusing largely on her agility and attacks. Though most people look at Peashy for, these two share great moments not only in-game but in cutscene as well. Compa. The character based off the developers of the games, Compile Heart, has a cute type of character. She's a bit of a clumsy nurse who, while failing at nursing school in Rebirth 1 to become a struggling nurse in the main games, has a protective personality of Nepgear, Neptune, and IF. She's also incredibly innocent, not understanding most of the jokes that get IF flustered, along with the one-sided relationship she has with Warachu. Well, it's more so that Warachu likes her, but you get the thing. In combat, Compa, being a nurse, is more of a healer-type character, with her main weapon being a giant syringe, with scissors and now syringes. Okay. Due to this, most of her special attacks are healing moves, along with status healing. Due to Compa being a medic-type character, she's a bit on the defensive side with a large amount of SP to support the amount of healing moves she brings to the table. Neptune or adult Neptune? The CPU or the trickster human? Fuck it, both. I like Neptune and her Ultra Dimension counterpart for various reasons. However, in gameplay, the two are very similar. They are both jack-of-all-trades characters with an emphasis on HP and attack. Neptune is known for her silly personality with an ironically easy way of making friends, enough to end a war in Rebirth 1. I feel while Neptune is best portrayed in Rebirth 1, she is portrayed a bit more abrasively in Rebirth 2 and 3, but still trying to be a good big sister to Nepgear. Adult Neptune in V2 acts as a double agent character, capturing Quar in her specimen book and tricking both Quar, R4, Kurome, and sometimes even the heroes to manipulate them for the greater good. Sometimes you have to trick your allies to trick your enemies. And also, just for running sake, Neptune represents the Sega Neptune. Haha. Number 3 is Nepgear. I agree with Kitsune Hawk on this one. I think Nepgear, of the Game Gear variety, is the better Nep in the two of them. Her character is a deep contrast to Neptune's, considering that instead of the zany personality Neptune brings to the table, Nepgear is a bit more serious and knows when she needs to be. Nepgear went through several amounts of character development in terms of gaining her confidence back and saving her older sister during Rebirth 2. In terms of combat, she is like Neptune, only a small amount stronger. She also uses beam swords instead of regular swords like Neptune. She uses a large amount of physical attacks, which, in terms of Rebirth 3, is quite ironic. She gets treated horribly, and because of that, she has the lowest luck stat in the game. However, she got so popular that she got an extra DLC character, which is basically Nepgear without her HDV form, Nepgear. Number 2, Uzume Tennouboshi. Neptunia V2 introduced a lot of characters and functions that make it the big game it is today, and one of those characters is the Dreamcast representative, Uzume Tennouboshi, who is one of the strongest characters in the game, with V2 revolving around Uzume. It starts with her being the last CPU of her Zero Dimension, and she gets help from Neptune, Nepgear, and eventually Adult Neptune, in helping her fend off the giant Dark Purple and eventually R4. However, when we get to the last arc, we see that her character isn't as simple as Someone Left Behind. It turns out she's half of her original self, who adult Neptune has labeled Kurome and Kokuboshi, and they were both the CPU of Planetoon before Uranus and Neptune. She sealed herself away within a console due to her powers being too strong and the people fearing her. Plus, it's kinda funny how most of Planetoon CPUs, not counting Nepgear, get cooler and possibly harsher personalities, with Uzume getting a more light-hearted personality with her Dream Girl mode. That's what I call it anyway. Valley Girl mode, if you will. Uzume in combat is known for her megaphone punches, and in normal combat she has a vast amount of strong rush attacks, making her good for building up your EXE drive gauge. Some of her standard attacks have good range of hits, making those good for EXE drive gauges as well. Number 1, Vert. Come on! Would you honestly expect anything else? To me, the representative of the Microsoft consoles is one of the best characters in the game, combat-wise and character-wise. On the outside, she seems like a completely mature woman with motherly instincts to the rest of the CPUs, but on the inside, she's probably the most relatable character, with her being the otaku gamer of the series. In terms of combat, she's actually seems to be the most balanced character in the game, with how her stats are evened out, where she is extremely powerful, but cannot take a lot of hits for anything due to her low HP. I'm P. Cuspard, and Vert is quite possibly one of my favorite characters in gaming history.